Greetings, Patrick here. 8 Questions with. Welcome to the show. Yeah, we are back for a Thursday night show, and glad that you are here with us. We will be speaking with uh, uh, David Martinez, who will be here with us at 8 o'clock, and looking forward to meeting him and talking music. It's been a while since we've had an artist on the show, so I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. He's very talented. He's got some albums out. He's got some singles out. He hails from Texas, which is one of the major hotspots for creative music in the world, actually. And so we're really going to get a chance to sink our teeth into this a little bit. All right, let me go to the chat real quick and sit there and say hello to Cindy. Thank you so much for helping me put this one together. And there is Tony the Tiger. Says he might be he might be going for an interview. All right, that's all right. Good luck with that. Yeah, I'm happy for tonight. Even though we're looking at a weird night here in Michigan, it's been a weird week. Uh, this week has found me and the cheetah crouched down in the basement as a tornado warning came roaring through and rolled right over the town where I got the cheetah from, a little town called Dixboro here in Michigan, and it went through over his old stomping grounds, right over us. Luckily, it did not touch down, but we did get 8 tornadoes in Michigan that on that night. Gosh, was it already Tuesday? Yesterday, I was talking to Lady Valerie. Some of you might know her very much, also known as the General. Her and I were talking, and Milwaukee was flooding. Holy crow! That was no joke. Downtown Milwaukee. I mean, that's stuff you see out in the rural areas, but in a major American city to see that kind of flooding, yeah, pretty eye opening. Uh, Probably a lot of song material coming from that too. But right now it's been raining off and on and off all day. It's been like storming, and then some peep out for a little bit, and then back to the storm. And right now it's like it's sunny outside, but I can still hear the drops fall. So yeah, it's been a weird day. That's been a weird day. Uh, so yeah, I'm really happy you guys are here for today's show. I have to bring out my trusty calendar. We are working hard. We're working hard to get some good shows lined up. I will take this moment to give a shout out to two folks. One, I want to give a shout out to our good friend Sue from the Bud Files for shouting us out for her 3,400th sub. Congratulations on that. Thank you for thinking about us. Sue and the Bud Files. They study history in the Dakotas and the Montana. And we've had them on the show before. And I also want to give a shout out to our good friend Gareth, aka Video Tasties, who had the awesome Joanna Cassidy on an interview on his channel today. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun, and I think she, I think she was a little surprised to see how many people remember her from the short run series she did called 240 Robert. I was blown away. I was thinking I was probably going to be the only one that could remember that show, because it came on in the 80s. But a lot of people came out there and commented on that. And of course, Gareth, being a smart operator that he is, he saved the talk for the Ghost of Mars. He saved that for the last. Uh, yes, and everybody was very nice and very respectful. Even though the Ghost of Mars is not the best movie that Joanne has appeared in, so there's that. But back to David. Not only is David a accomplished singer-songwriter, but he also was really cool. Which I'm thinking to myself, you look for inspiration wherever you can get it, and for a lot of musicians, they have to work a day job, and David's no different. And he actually teaches school. He's a school teacher, and when I found that out, I'm going like, wow, that's just so much rich creative ground for songs because everybody has a story. And as a songwriter, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to find a story in every song. I mean, some people want to do pop, some people want to do dance, some people want to, they want to, they want to forget the world. But I think if you're a singer-songwriter and you happen to be a school teacher or a counselor or anybody like that, a nurse or a doctor, yes, they play music too, and they do play live. Um, I think how rich it is to think, to see the stories, the ones, like the ones that are blossoming, the ones that are shining, the ones with potential, the ones with a little rough edges on it. Um, I just think that's fascinating to me as a creative, as a creative energy to draw upon that, and put that in your songs. Like I said, there's singer-songwriters, just like anything else in the arts. It seems to be in a little bit of a rough spot right now. Of course, people are they're taught, like you don't really you still see them. You still see concerts being advertised, but it seems to me, I don't know if it's just me or not, but it seems to me like there's less this year. I mean, I think the live market is a little soft. Um, I'm not sure why that is. It could just be maybe I'm just not reading the numbers right, but it does seem like it's harder now to sell tickets. A lot of concerts now are no longer doing the two bands or maybe even three bands. They're going what they do in Europe, and they're doing what they call music festivals. Now we've had them here forever, but a lot of time, but not as many. You have like Lilith Fair. Lilith Fair was or the Gathering of the Tribes, which basically put together a main headliner and just a ton of guests that come on there and they play maybe like 35, 40 minutes. They share a back line so they don't have to break down and set up. So, they start earlier. They play on the weekends more than during the week. Like a lot of concerts, they don't come in and play on a Wednesday. Well, a lot of festivals, they don't do that. They just play on the weekends, like Saturday or Sunday, because what they want to be able to open the gates up at 12 or 11 and get going and have a whole festival for everybody. Um, because I don't know if the tickets are gonna, it'll be interesting. I saw our first ad for Motor City Comic Con. They were talking about the guest list, and the guest list is impressive. But I tell you what was not impressive was the $40 per ticket. When me and my buddy Farm Boy went, it was like I think it was $8. $8. $5 parking, unless you didn't mind parking on the other side of the road, and then you could walk to the convention hall, which is what we did. We walked, not a problem, and it was there was no overflow problem or anything else like that. But now it's $38 just to get your foot through the door. That's not counting. That's not counting food. That's not counting, that's just $38 for you. Now, if you're gonna bring a significant other, that's another $38. That's even before you get into onto the convention floor. Um, it's gonna be very interesting. I mean, know that, like I said, I know they have a big celebrity list, and it's impressive. I mean, even William Shatner's gonna be there, all 95 years of him. Um, but I don't know the state of music, and we talk about this with independent filmmakers. Now we're going to talk about it with an indie musician. It's like, how hard is it now to get your music out? I mean, yes, there is Spotify, and yes, there is there's other platforms for it, but how much are you actually reaching? And more importantly, is how much money are you able to make? Has it improved any? Has Spotify come around to start paying people some money so they can go back and record more? Since no one's going to be sponsoring a tour across the country in the back of a van, for independent band. A lot of times, this is where they're going to make their money at. Are they CDs like we were talking earlier this week about DVDs, like Disney's shutting down their DVD department, their physical media department. Do bands still play on merch? Do they still play on records, on cassettes, on CDs, or is it all just now all digital? Like if you like what you hear, then you can go to my website and you can download, or you can go to Spotify. You could download, for $1.99, you can get this. You can get a digital upload of my song. Of course, digital. How that digital works, right? Um, you might have it today, but it could be gone tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting to talk to David about this. And he's a veteran player, which is really be helpful for us because he's seen it all. And I'm really looking forward to this. Being a former talent buyer myself, it's always fun to talk to somebody, a musician. All right. So what else do we got here on 8 Questions With? Well, we got other things going on the channel. I got a couple of things dropping on. So you got one dropping on Sunday. We're going to be taking a look at Final Destination, or I'm sorry, Retro 2. We're going to be taking a look at Psych, season 4 of Psych, which is a show I had never seen before. So I watched it, and I'll be dropping a review with it on Sunday night at 6 p.m. And then on Monday at 3 p.m., that's where we'll be taking a look at Final Destination Bloodlines with the last appearance of Tony Todd. And and then next Sunday on the 26th, we'll be at the ISC Midnights. We've been talking about Summer of '84 that was brought to us by our friend Jen from Reviews of the Grave. As far as 8 Questions With next week, we have 2 shows. On the 21st, we have micro-budget director, filmmaker Matthew Mark Hunter. He'll be here at 8 p.m. He has made a ton of movies, and this looks to be stuff that movies that you absolutely love. I mean, he's doing it for all the right reasons. He's just doing it for fun, and so we'll be talking to him about his career. He started out his career 17. He's 25 now, and he's made like over I think he's made over 200 movies, or short stories, short films, feature lengths, music videos. He's already gotten over like 200 underneath his belt. On the 22nd, we'll be back with a special retro tube. We're dropping at 6 p.m. We're dropping our first look at the classic Addams Family. And I thought, well, why not drop that on a Wednesday? So that's what we're doing. So we're going to be talking about Addams Family on the 22nd. That will be at 6 p.m. The 23rd, we'll see the return. The lovely Mia Katz. She'll be coming over and hanging out with us and catching us up with her. It's been a couple of years since we've had Mia on the show, so I'm really, really happy to see her back. She is still in film, and so we'll talk about some of her projects that she's done, but she's also has spread her wings and heading to the stage. That's right, she is doing live theater. And there's our good friend Eric right there. Hell yeah. It's almost time for him and I. Him and I will be collaborating in May on Quantum Leap. That's right, we're going to be doing an episode of Quantum Leap. And more stuff in May too. So we're doing, for Retro 2, we're going to be doing Quantum Leap. I got 2 with the Bat. He and I will be covering The Young Riders, and we're going to be covering an episode of Highlander. There can only be one. I'll be teaming up with Mr. Dan and Horror. We're going to be watching an episode of Have Gun Will Travel and To Catch a Tiger, which is an excellent episode of the series. And on the 28th of March, of May, oh, I'm sorry, the 25th of May, we'll be having Will Colazo Jr. will be here. He is another fine film director as well, indie film director. So we are picking things up again for the summer. So hang around, and yeah. Uh, my life loves The Young Writers, one of her all-time favorite shows. Well, hell, maybe I should get her to come over, come on and do a show with me. That would actually be fun. You know what? Your wife was really good when you did your animated series. She was. You got yeah. This is what we call subtle. This is what we call subliminal programming. So this is for Eric. He probably won't even see this cross here. It's an animated cartoon called the Super Six, but he probably won't even see this because it's moving so fast. But hopefully, if after he sees this, he and his wife will come back and do some animation, some animation reviews. All right, boys and girls, our doorbell has rang, so you know what that means. That means our guest is here, and we are ready to rock and roll. Thank you for being here. Share us out, those who can, and let's go meet David Martin. Ta-da!
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing,
How are
Patrick?
you?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you, man. I heard a lot of good things about you from Cindy, so I'm pretty excited about doing this. So thank you for having me.
Cindy works her butt off, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And she's in Florida. I'm in Texas, but we've gotten together a couple of times, and it's even when we get together, she's working. So she's working.
Yeah. She was working. She was, communicating with me about this show while she was in between meetings with different clients, different projects. She's making sure that everything was fine, and were we all ready? And she already came by and peeked her in and said hello.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've said this a lot. I was a talent buyer for 10 years in California, and I appreciate very much a good PR person. A good public relations person it's worth its weight in gold.
Where
It
where
really truly
where,
is.
where in California did you talent by?
San Jose, San
Oh, okay,
Francisco.
okay, okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
I played in
I,
San Francisco before. It's been a while, but
I was in the 90s, late 80s throughout the 90s. Were you
I was
there?
there. I was there in 2006. It was one of our stops. So it was a place
Yeah, a
called.
little.
It was a place in San Francisco called Snob, Sonoma, Napa, or beyond.
Oh, I think actually, I think there are a couple of venues that were still there as of last I looked, and
Yes.
one was called the Bottom of the Hill
Okay.
on on the 17th in Texas, and Ramona Downey was the talent buyer and part owner of that venue, and every time I get a musician and we start talking about those days, I always have to bring up that because it was the best club.
Yeah.
It really was. It was just I was very proud of mine and Jimmy's work. My friend Jimmy, that guy, it was a freaking beast. He and another buddy of his, they managed 3 rooms of over 1,000 people apiece at once. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
you should see their calendars, David. Absolutely insane. I just sit there and look at my head and going like, how do you stay sane doing that? Is you're talking like a show like 4 or 5 times a week, different genres, different levels of major headliner Tuesday, local show Wednesday, major headliner on. It's just crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, I did a little booking myself, but I said, you know what? I had so many people contacting me and all hours of the night. We're the best band.
oh,
Yeah, so you never seen anything like us, and I'm like, and I said, well, there's budgets to work with you, so you know the deal. So I said,
oh,
okay, I'm sticking to the music.
it was crazy because I could always tell, and he knows this because we have fun with this, but in the office, I could sit there and he'd come in the office and I sit there and say, "So how was your night?" I says, "It was good." I says, he says, "What? So you went out last night?" And he goes, "Yeah. How'd you know?" I says, "Well, because I've already gotten 10 phone calls here already from people that you met out when you're out." He's just trying to have a date. He was just
Yeah.
trying to have a date, have a dinner, and people would recognize him and they would come up to him while he was eating and they'd be trying to give him press kits. And then he'd sit there and say, "Well, give me a call at the office tomorrow," which really meant give me a call at the office tomorrow because I was the one they would have to go through before we could do anything with them. And I'd be sitting there trying to do my own thing, and I got people calling him saying, "Hey, Jimmy said to call," and it was just it's just like, wow. It was I felt bad for him, and
Yeah.
I really worked hard on trying to get him to say no. When people came up there and says, "Look, work hours are from 9 to 5. Call me at this number between then. When I'm out here, and especially when I'm on a date, please, this is not the right time to walk up there and ruin someone's night, or to
Yeah.
interfere with it. Maybe ruins is too strong of a word, but you go up there and you like, here I got the new single here, I got this new album here, and you're just trying to make time with the girl that you brought to dinner, and it's hectic. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
saw that.
Yeah.
Uh, we have a chat here, and let me go over there and go over here and say hi to everybody. Eric can say hi to you, and Cindy is here. Yeah, I'm sure Cindy has. I'm sure Cindy has dealt with her fair share of talent buyers. As far and let me tell you, those talent buyers, if they were worth anything, if they had any sort of skill, they appreciated the fact that Cindy was calling them, because
Absolutely.
I wish the hell I had more PR people. It was so much easier to deal with them than it was the band directly.
Yeah.
So you're in Texas.
Yes. Corpus Christi, Texas, South Texas, home of Selena, Freddie Fender.
What I mean, I said this before you got here. I said that Texas is probably one of the greatest creative energies as far as music goes in the whole entire world. There's been so many great musicians that come from Texas,
And
um,
different
different
genres.
genres.
I mean,
Um,
you got Christopher Cross, you got Willie Nelson, you got Pantera, you got I mean,
uh,
there's so much.
yeah, I mean, I used to whenever South by Southwest come, I would just go there and I would go online or look at Polestar or what have you, and I would like I like the different music magazines, and I just like to get the magazines just so I can see who played where on what stage and get the name of the band in my head. So like a few months down the line, when I got a call for the agent saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a spot," I could sit there and say, instead of saying who, I could sit there and say, "Hell yeah, let's get them in
Yeah,
here." And the agent's always like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." Like a lot of times, uh, you know how you've made several calls, like, like, I'm looking for a spot, and
yeah,
initially when you did this, the buyer or the room's owner would sit there and say, "Who?" Because they didn't know your sound, they didn't know who you were at the time. But when
mhm,
you were calling to try to get a gig, but after a while, pretty soon, not only did they know your name, but they were the ones calling you, asking to come play.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It happens that way too. So
So let's get into this about your career. Where you got your start. Now, have you always been based in Texas, or did you come in from another area, another state?
no, no, I've always been based here in Corpus Christi, but one thing I did, I mean, I play a lot locally more so now than I ever have. But I started at an open mic in 2000. I started playing guitar in 1989. Late, my dad got me a guitar for Christmas, and I never I was always just focused on the guitar. I didn't really care about singing or anything like that. And then I could never find a singer or anybody to fit my what I needed. So in 2000, it might have been 2000, 2001. My friend, two friends, Dave Navarrete and Eddie Garza, they both dragged me out to this venue that I play all the time now called the Executive Surf Club, which has hosted a lot of famous musicians and legendary ones. And I did the open mic and started going every week, and I learned that playing live is not the easiest things in the world, and learning from people who were seasoned, and I got a lot of advice, and then I started booking gigs. I think around 2003, 2004, and we decided to go. Me and my buddy decided to go on a tour of the West Coast in 2006, and it was when MySpace was coming up, so we toured the West Coast, and we made it all the way to St. Paul, Minnesota. So
Nice.
we went to Corpus, Austin, Dallas, Albuquerque, Tucson, uh, Pacific Beach, South San Diego, Hollywood, Los Angeles. It's like, and then San Francisco, Seattle, where my wife lived for a while. She was actually living there. I probably should have looked her up. And then waited to St. Paul, Minnesota, and that just kept going since that. Put a band together, went out to Los Angeles in 2007, recorded my first album, and I had great players on that. But that was a trial by fire because I didn't know anything about being in key or anything about about arrange. I knew about arranging, but I didn't know everything was. I learned so much from that. So now when I record, it's second nature. So I recorded 3 records in Los Angeles in 2007, 2012, and 2015, and then right now I'm playing a lot live locally,
Right.
and I'm also recording at a place called Sound Machine in Skidmore, Texas, with a fabulous producer named Mason Shirley, and my co-writer that I write with a lot is a guy named by the name of Rick Hofield. He's from Los Angeles originally, so yeah, I keep myself busy every month, and I'm thinking about. We had a lot of me and Cindy had planned to do something big. We had done a city winery in Boston, and we were gonna go. We were gonna do like a tour, but then pandemic hit, so that screwed us all up. But
Uh,
that's how I got started, and that's what I'm doing now. And I got a couple more songs coming out, and I got some more studio time. So I plan on releasing some vinyl next year. So you'll get a copy once it's done.
I was going to ask, we talk to a lot of people here, a lot of filmmakers and what have you, and I always ask them now because they'll get a new movie out, and then one of the first things I ask them is like, how are you going to release it? Are you going to release it, digitally only, or are you going to put it in get a DVD going? And it's the same thing for musicians. I whereas before with DVDs, like people they want to buy DVDs,
Mhm.
and the thing that really sort of surprised me was how, like, you don't hear anybody talk about. I actually hear people talk about cassette tapes. I hear more people talk about cassette tapes than I do people talking about CDs.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, isn't that weird? A cassette
yeah,
tape.
and
I would
yeah.
never buy a cassette tape today.
Well, yeah, and it's crazy because like me and my brother are big John Mayer fans, and he was selling the last record he did. He was selling it on vinyl and cassette and CD, of course. But some people still listen to CDs, though, believe it or not. I mean, so some people prefer them, and it's crazy because I still have some CDs, and I tell people, "Oh, I got some CDs," and they go, I'll take one, I'll take one," and I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." But I'm doing everything digitally right now, so I've released about 6 songs in the last I think about 5 years, and so I've got a couple more I got a couple more in the hopper that I'm going to release, and then I got a couple more that I'm going to record. So I release one every time I release a single, like the latest one, like Standing. There was one before that called that I wrote for my. It was last summer. It was called Here to Stay, and then with My Sweet Love, I'm releasing them as singles. But then what I'm eventually going to do is take all those songs that I released, plus a couple new ones, and put them on vinyl and do a vinyl release on that. And it'll still be released digitally, of course. I mean,
Right.
I prefer something. I remember getting home buying it because reading the liners and everything. And I'm like, what's A&R?
Right.
What's a producer? What's a pro? Yeah, things like that. So
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, yeah, you get home, you go out shopping. One of my favorite things was, I'm sure yours as well. Many in the chat, is to go to a music store, and it's like going to a video store. I actually, it was funny, David. It's like when I got inside of a movie store, I was sort of lost because there's just so much, right?
yes.
But give me in a music store, I know exactly what I want to see. I know exactly where I'm going to go. I know exactly what I want to hear. And I could go in there, I go straight to the indie section, and I start looking.
Yeah.
I immediately, I have some names in the back of my head that I picked up, and then I'd be sitting there and I'm going like, okay. Whereas before you go to the side of the video store and it's like, I don't know what to watch. There's so much.
Mhm.
But
Well,
music, it's
I was talking to a young musician the other day, and I turned him on to a couple of. There was a band called The Action in the '60s, and a band from San Antonio called Bubble Puppy, and I turned him on to that. He goes, "Dude, how did you know about this?" I go, "Dude, I just I would buy from the dime bin,
hell yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
and I
I
found
tell the story. I tell the story a lot because it's one of my funniest stories, and I love telling it. Um, but I used to go to a place called Streetlight Records in San
yeah,
Jose, and and there were a lot of local musicians that worked there.
yes,
And there was this guy named Craig, and when him and I we always cut it up. But one of the things I would come on there, and I would always go to the independent section, the
yeah,
dollar bin. And so one day he comes up there, and I have a stack like 10 on there, and he comes up there and he just grabs it out of my hand, and he says loud, he says, where are you going to spend some real money in here? What's up this $1? And he's saying it loud. And people look instantly, and I'm going like, well, because I can't find, because there's nothing good out there. You don't carry anything good out there. This is only the best part right here. And people were just staring at us because they thought that we were like barking. Well, we weren't. It was always pretty much just a gag. It's like as soon as he saw me, he'd nod his head, and I nod my head, and guaranteed there'd be some shenanigans before I left. But he was in a fine band, and I took great pleasure in getting the chance to book his band 2 or 3 times before I left. And yeah, I loved the bargain bin too.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Hey, one time I found a Lou Reed record for $1,
nice.
and I was like,
Uh, Vinyl?
yeah, vinyl. It was an old. It was from. I guess it was released in the '80s or '90s, but it was. And I just played it. I just played it over and over and over. and
Ah,
it was like it was a little worn out though. It wasn't in mint condition or anything like that. But
I was gonna say, that would be like that'd be like an insane find. A
oh yeah,
Lou Reed,
yeah.
in mint for a buck,
Well, it
or
wasn't.
like
It was not in mint. I can tell you that. But it
right,
played
right.
well, and I enjoyed what was on it. When I think about you going to the dime bin and picking all those up, you're and the guy telling you when are you going to spend some real money here, you go, I'm holding the treasure right here. That's what I would have
Yeah.
said.
Oh, and when I used to, I go up there and then he'd ring me up, and we would talk, as long as there wasn't a line behind me. We would talk about the bands that I picked out, like, hey, I heard about this one and this one. And now he was a blues cat. His band
Yeah.
was a band called Nightcry, so he was in the blues. So
Yes.
so we would talk a little blues, and then he'd go over and see what I got. Most of it was alternative, punk rock with a little bit of folk, roots Americana, rockabilly. I mean, that was my
Yeah.
jam, still is. But we go over the bands, and he would sit there and say, "Yeah, I've heard this one's really good," and then we talk a little bit about that. Man, it was a good time. It was a good time, to discover back in
Mhm.
the '80s and the '90s. Um,
Yeah.
I miss it.
Oh, big time.
Um,
Yeah.
but I'm just thinking about, now you think about finding a Lou Reed record,
Mhm.
even today, hopefully a little, even if you got, there's a lot of vinyl out there.
Oh yeah.
And I could definitely see why you would want to have vinyl because, man, I mean, is it easier to record to vinyl? I mean, do you get any energy more knowing, like, I can hear in your voice the joy that you have in looking forward to actually doing this on vinyl? Is it
Yeah.
easier to get hyped up to do a recording like that on a
Well,
medium that you like?
well, for
Like some
me,
people like cassettes.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, for you.
yeah. For me, it's just like, I just, I just, I enjoy like the first three records I did. I enjoyed the people I worked with, and then this record I'm working with Mason, and Rick writing, and I just enjoy going in the studio and writing. And the thing is, it'll have to be mastered to be on vinyl, but I'm excited about recording these songs. It does bring a sense of excitement, like, this is going to be on a vinyl and blah blah blah, and it's like, there's a cool song. I just recorded a song back in December. I think it was January, and I have a Jack Russell Corgi, aka Cool Jack dog, named Jackson. We named him after Jackson Brown, by the way. And my wife says, "You need to write a song about him. You wrote two songs about me, so you need to write." So I wrote a song called Mighty Jack, and it came out really, and I was really excited because it ended up, it kind of has that Peanuts gang feel to it, but it's still a rock. It's still it's a rock song, kind of like Jack Johnson, things like that, and it's but yeah, I get when I go in the studio, I'm pumped. And I'm also, it's kind of funny because you got the singer-songwriters, and they write tons of songs. And for me, I have songs that I have written, but then if I really look at something, okay, I'm gonna work on this, and I'm gonna I'm gonna focus on this, and I go in and record, and I get a better recording out of that than just writing a bunch of songs. But I still write ideas, record ideas, and all that, and then when I get to them, as a matter of fact, which is funny, I have a new song called "Standing," and I was actually thinking about it, and I have this little manuscript here. I did a song called "Hey Mary" out in Nashville back in 2010, which is one of my bigger ones, and I actually, I don't know where it's at, but I actually found the lyrics to and that song "Standing." I go, well, I guess. Oh, so here that. So I've had this book since like 2008, 2009, and it still has a bunch of ideas in there. So I was like, and my wife goes, "I guess you wrote it back then." I said, "Yeah, I guess I did." Because
I was saying this before you got here too, and I was thinking of how, singer-songwriter, you're always looking for something to inspire you.
hmm
You're always looking
yeah,
for something for inspiration. And, when Cindy told me that you were a school teacher,
hmm
I was thinking about that before our discussion. I'm going like, man, what a rich writing ground that would be.
oh yeah,
Here you are, you walk in, sit down, there's 30 faces looking at you, and there's 30
hmm
different stories. And you can
oh
sit
yeah,
there and you go, like, wow, before some people, a lot of musicians sit there and go like, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to sing about. I'm at a loss. I'm going like,
hmm
because the whole point is to write a good story.
yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, it's probably maybe the ultimate, in a
Well,
sense.
the
To,
crazy thing too is I have a bunch of ideas, so like I don't think I would run out of anything, but I also in December there was the Rick Hofield I recorded with. He had him and his brother had written a song called Behind Sunglasses, and he played it for me. He goes, but man, he goes, I want you to come up with something. And I read the lyrics and I really loved them, and I was like, wow. So I was thinking in the vein of Chris Isaac, like Wicked Game, Neil Diamond. You'll be a woman soon, just something in that vein. And I was thinking, and as I was writing it, and we were started working on it, and the process went on. Uh, Mason was like, "Dude, this reminds me of the girls sitting in a dirty bar in Cuba, like Desperado or a Quentin Tarantino movie," and we nailed it. But it was like it was exciting to get that together, and Rick was like, "Wow, you really." So I co-wrote that with him and his brothers. I basically wrote the music for that, and it just So it's always something. I mean, I've got, I've got enough ideas to last me a couple of years. So
Are you a natural songwriter, or is it a bit of a chore? I mean, do you have to work at it, or does it flow
well,
naturally for you?
you know, the music is easy for me. The music is not a bad thing for me. I can figure that out. It's more the lyrics. And if you ever listen to my early recordings, yeah, the lyrics were, you know, they were out of a young guy, you know, man. Because
Sure.
I wrote some of those songs in high school, and like my first album, and in college, and then as time went on, and I did that song "Hey Mary," I started thinking more about the process, and that's why I write with that guy Rick Hofield, because we go back and forth. We're able to layer the song, and you know, and you know, and all right, this lyric's not going to work. Like right now, we're working on a song called "Barstool Counselors." You know how you go in a bar and somebody's going to counsel you. It's much buy me a
Right.
drink, buy me a drink. It's much cheaper than a shrink, you know. And so I kind of sent him an idea, and he goes, "All right, we got to get together." He goes, "You really got something going with us?" I go, "Okay." And I got this country song I wrote too. I'm gonna record a country song this fall, so so I'm going all out on everything. So, and plus, you know, I always like, I don't like a lot of one musician said, "I can't figure you out." He goes, "You got this song with horns, and then you got a rock song, and then you got a nice little folk song." And he goes, I love Ben Harper, and I always loved how he wrote like a reggae song, a rock song, a folk song, you know, things like that. I always like that.
He's very talented. I love. I got to see him play in front of about 40 people, and he just tore it up.
Yeah,
Tore it up.
I saw him a long time ago at a small venue when he was starting
Hmm.
out, and I was like, wow.
Yeah. Uh, I like that idea that you have variety, though. I mean, especially. I mean, there's probably one of the. I mean, Texas is an awesome hotbed to play. But there is one, sort of a catch to it, and that sometimes they tend to pigeonhole their performers. Like if you come out there and you play country song, then everybody seems to want to see what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing all country. You're going to be doing all rock. You're going to be all, and it's. I think it's really cool, and this is one of the reasons why that I. This is one of the reasons like I'm not a big blues guy. I'm not a big jazz guy.
Yeah,
Um, because I always feel that just it's not because of the musicians. Love the musicians, but man, I just don't like the fans. I don't really like the fans too much of those two genres
yeah,
because they're so freaking constricting.
yeah,
It's like they won't allow you, like, if you sit down and you're playing Lou Reed, right?
yeah.
Here's something for you, and then all of a sudden you turn around and you want to do a little folk song. And everybody's coming out going like, "Wow, why is he changing up? Why is he? Well, that's not Lou Reed. That's not what's he doing? What's he doing?
Oh
How
man,
about breathing? How about he's breathing?
yeah. I would make a song. I would make a playlist, right? And it would be like it would be like some mariachi music, like Vicente Fernandez, and then it would go to Rage Against the Machine, and then it would go to like, you know, Bing Crosby, Pistol Packin' Mama. And my friend goes, my friend Eddie's always cool about it because we used to burn a lot of CDs, you know, with variety of music. He goes, "You know how to put a CD together, man. I really like that." But some people freak out. Why do you do that?
Oh gosh, oh, you used to make mixtapes basically on
Yeah,
CDs.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, that's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I used to get a few of those too. Be sitting there like, "Hey, tell me some of the musicians you like. Tell me some of the bands." I give out like 10 or 15, and then I come back and they have this killer. They would have this killer CD full of all the best songs, and then you put it in your car. You're driving down the road, and someone sits there and say, "Hey, what album is that?" And you're sitting there going like, "It's mine." It's
Yeah,
it's mixed. It's a mixtape. So I dig that.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I miss those. I miss those days. Um, so it sounds like to me like your very first who was some of your inspirations for you to get into music? Were especially down in Texas, like the first thing I think of when I think of Texas, to me anyway, is I always think of rockabilly and Americana. roots
Yeah.
Americana. Those are what I think about right away. There's been several great rock bands there, and what have you. But that's what I think.
Hmm.
Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
But what inspired you when you first started out? Who were some of
Like
the bands?
musician wise, like musician. Well,
Yeah, musicians and bands.
yeah, when I first started out, like playing, not talking about my dad. My dad listened to like Grand Funk Railroad and Ted Nugent and things like that, and Doobie Brothers, and of course he got me into Kiss was where it all started. It was like I was I was 3 years old, had clothespins with a towel jumping, and I just wanted to be Kiss. I wanted to be Ace Frehley, and but
Nice.
as I started playing, realized it wasn't so easy. But the bands that I really got into as a young man, young musician, was like Guns N' Roses, Pearl Jam, all that Seattle sound, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and and but I still held all that stuff that I learned. Like my favorite album as a little kid was Heartache. It was the Long Run from the Eagles, and
Okay.
and then I started going to punk rock shows.
Yeah, I knew. I was waiting for that to come through. I was
And,
thinking,
yeah,
there's got to be some punk rock here.
we did some punk rock. We also went to metal shows and all kinds of different shows. There were bands like the Sloppy Seconds, the Crumb Suckers. Um, I mean, there were local bands here, that were great. But what really inspired me? There. You spoke of rockabilly when I had already been playing, but in the mid '90s, I discovered this band called Matt Hole and the Hot Rod Gang, and they're a rockabilly band. And Matt Hole's a good friend of mine now, and I think the way he went about it, he said, you know what, I'm going to make a rockabilly band because he didn't want to he didn't want to just play blues, and
Right.
and seeing him at that level, and he's still great to this day. Just seeing him perform, I mean, it was tremendous. They had the upright bass going and everything. His bass,
So
they put on a show, and if it wasn't for him, like a lot of musicians here in Corpus Christi, I mean, he set the standard. So that was huge right there. And then that's when I started playing. I got to play with a lot of cool bands too. I got to meet a lot of great bands, and you know, I've met some, I've met some cool people. I met Jacob Dylan. I met Scott. Met Scott Weiland, but I bumped into him by accident. I didn't even know. I bumped into a guy when I was playing South by Southwest in Austin, and he turns around, and he looks at me. I go, Scott. He's all, what? I go, I'm a big fan. And I just put my hand out. He goes, thanks. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. I just wasn't watching where I was going. And somebody was like, is that a jerk? Is that being a jerk? One of my friends was like, that guy being a jerk with you? I go, oh, that's Scott Weiland. He's one of my heroes. Of course, I am like the foundation for me, though, for the most part, and the way I play, like the way I like to play is more so the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards. And then, but I love the Beatles, and I love the Who and the Kinks, and it's just like those four bands right there are something that inspired me to this day.
yeah, that's uh, 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 hey Stephen, how are you, sir? Um, yeah, that's I guess that'd be that's the other side of the coin too. Is like sometimes you meet some really great talented artists like Scott Weiland, and I had a chance to book that band. I had a chance to book, because I had lost a band, and at the last minute because they got a bigger tour, and I was a little bit bummed out by it. And the agent called me and offered me Stone Temple Pilots. But by that time, they were, even before they blew up, there were still, in the magazines or what have you, there were still articles that mentioned his problems, which was his horrible drug abuse.
Yeah.
And I didn't want any of that.
Well,
And
the thing is, I'll tell you a story after you're done.
yeah, I just passed on. I passed on that because I didn't really feel comfortable with it. I mean, that is the dark side of things. I mean,
Yeah.
in music, it seems like, especially certain genres. It just feels like the singers always feel like, or the band always feels like they have to be somebody. Like we got to
Mhm.
be like them, and it's just like,
Mhm.
why? You
And
know?
and that and that's the thing too. It's like that's the thing too is when I was when I it was called it was called the Texas Indie Fest, and he was there to see an artist from LA named Nettie Rose. That's why he was there. It was when he was with the Wildabouts, and I just saw him. I said, "Is he drinking?" And they go, "Yeah, he's drinking up a storm." I'm like, and we already knew he had been to rehab, and he was an addict. And I was like, I was watching, even though I was excited to meet him, and it was like he was one of my favorite of all time. It's like I I just saw him self-destructing, and then the kicker was
Yeah.
they did a show here in Corpus Christi at a place called Brewster Street Ice House, and they made TMZ because they were playing a song called Vaseline, and he was like, yeah, 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 yeah. That's how he was singing, and it was like,
What?
and because I had asked my friend how was the show, and he goes, it was like putting poop in a microwave, and I'm like, oh, and I just kind of like it made me sad, and then he passed away,
Yeah.
and
Um.
I've seen too much of that. I've seen too much of that. Uh, People I've known over the years playing music.
Yeah. I mean, that is the dark side of it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you and I both lost a lot of friends during that. I mean, I think of a lot of my, I'm sitting here thinking about a lot of the people. It's just horribly sad because they feel like they have to walk those shoes when in fact they don't have to. They can walk in their own shoes, like I want to be like Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to be like John Smith, who you are? Be who you are.
And
Mick is him,
that's
it's like it's hard
that's
to
what
tell that with young slingers, isn't it?
that's what I found with a lot of young singer songwriters that I met over the years, playing a lot here in Texas, is that because when I go play, laser focused. I don't do drugs at all. I've never been a drug guy, but I'm laser focused when I perform because I just want to give my best. I might have a
Right.
drink, a beer. I might have a beer or so after, around where I'm about to, I'm about to end. But I'm just laser focused. But I see where other guys, especially a few years back, where they wanted to be like somebody like Steve Earle, or they wanted to be so like, even like Keith Moon, like some of the drummers loved Keith Moon, and I was, but they also thought doing all the drugs was gonna
Yeah.
be, and Steve Earle, it almost killed Steve Earle, and Keith Moon, it killed Keith Moon. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
like, and I can name a few more, but a few more
Yeah.
artists. Yeah, it's just like,
Th- this sounds really strange, but do you ever draw upon that for you? I mean, we talked about like some of the ideas, but I always wonder, like, sometimes you hear someone's someone will come out with a tribute song to a fallen friend or what have you. I don't know. It's like, is that something that like when like let's just say that Willie Nelson's one of your inspirations, or Scott Weiland, so if we're talking about him, do you ever think about those people when you sit down and write? I mean, not only the ones that are still with us, that are cranking out, but the ones that have passed away, but yet they have such an influence on
oh,
us, especially the ones that pass away prematurely. Is do you find yourself sitting down and just writing about that? Is it
uh,
therapy?
well, they inspire me definitely. I'm always thinking of different kinds of artists when I'm doing something. One of the biggest things is when we record, I always send the producer point of reference songs of what I'm trying to get at. And so,
Right.
but I mean, I think about it. I haven't written about any fallen people, but I mean, I think about, like I love the Doors. I think about Jim Morrison, and I think about,
Yeah.
I think about the Stones. I think about a lot of different artists and genres, and it's just it all inspires me. It all, I mean, that's the whole thing about anything that I've ever done. I've always, had that in the back of my mind.
sort of shocks the shit out of me, honestly. When
Yeah.
were talking, when I think about the Rolling Stones, and it's like there's 3 out of the 4 that are still with us. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I
Yeah.
mean, back in the 70s, I mean, if you would have betted on anybody, outlasting anybody, you would have picked Charlie Watt, and he was the one to go. The rest
Mhm.
of them you thought would have been dead 30 years ago,
Oh yeah.
40 years ago. But he was the first one to go. It's just like, and they're all still with us, and you go like, how does the hell does this work?
And Mick
Must be
Jagger's still
all that
Mick
clean living.
and Mick Jagger's still moving like a teenager. I saw me and my wife saw them a few years back in Houston, Texas, and I mean he was just the guy is just a ball of energy, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, tell me about this. I always like to ask this because this is like one of my funnest questions. But tell us about the first time you played live. What was that like for you? What do you know? Because every musician remembers their very first show. So,
Well,
what was it like for you? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Was there a lot of people there? Walk us
well,
through your first show.
when I first played live, I had played, I had played among friends, and all that. But when I got on the stage at the Executive Surf Club, there's the guy. He's still running the open mic on Wednesday nights. His name's Ray Summy, and he comes up to me, and I just remember I was like, okay, man, and I would have friends over all the time, and I would jam like it was nobody's business. But now I'm like, these are gonna be a lot of people I don't know. And he looks at me, and he goes, "Hey, you're up." And I said, "Oh man, already?" And he goes, "Okay, look, man, I'm gonna tell you right now. You got to decide. You're gonna be one of those guys that watches, or one of those guys that plays. Stage is yours,
Uh,
right?" I said, "Well, I guess you made up my mind for me." I got up and I kept looking down at my guitar, and I might take my face away from the mic, and it was nerve wracking, but I kept going, and the only thing that really made me nervous is I didn't have enough songs. Now I besides covers, originals, I got an arsenal of material these days. I just go in and I just take it from there. So, but it was nerve wracking when I first started doing it because and I was only
I
playing
bet.
songs, and I wasn't trying to learn anybody else's songs. But learning other people's songs actually helped me become a better songwriter. So I feel.
Sure, sure, sure. Now, speaking of songs, I like to hear a couple of yours. We could do one now, and one a couple down there a little bit, but I'd like
Okay.
to hear some of your original work and
Okay.
share it to the audience.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Do well, I got a new song called "Standing," but I'll save that for later. But
Sure.
we could do. I just let me think of what we could do. Because I got to. Oh, you know what? We could do the one. This will be minus the horns. This will be
Okay.
minus the horns. And see, I wrote a song for my wife called "My Sweet Love," but I also wrote this song, and my wife said, "You need something with horns in it," and I was like, okay. I said, so I was walking my dog, and I came up with this idea. I hummed it, and then I came back and wrote it, and then me and Rick pretty much finished it, and then cut this one. So it's a song. Can you hear that well?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a song called "Here to Stay," like I'm here to stay, babe. It goes a little something like this. All right. There we go. That sounds better right there. All right, here we go. Here to stay. Life wasn't easy, trying hard to find my way. Dreams are dying, hope slipping away. You reached out, my whole world changed. You're the best decision ever made. Maybe luck, maybe fate. I'm here to stay. Love is blind, you see sign after sign. Look up to the sky, each day is more bright. You're the reason stars align, never lose track. It's our time, maybe luck, maybe fate. I'm here to stay on track. Stay true to our dreams. Stay true to you. I'm here to stay. I'm here to stay. I won't bend, not gonna break. You saved me, I'm keeping the faith. Maybe love, maybe faith. Either way, here to stay, here to stay. I'm here to stay. Here to stay.
Nice. Nice. Very nice. Very, very nice.
Very naked song without the horns, but it's just something. It's there's a horn like where I had a break. There's like a horn solo in that. And,
Yeah.
horn section solo, and then saxophone solo.
Now, you mentioned you play. You must do residencies. Where you play at a certain venue, like maybe once a week or once a month.
I haven't done one of those in a long time. I mean, I got there's the Executive Surf Club. There's There's a place called Rockets Whiskey Bar and Saloon, and there's a place called Brewster Street South Side, and now there's one on North Padre Island. I play those. I play those once or I play Brewster's once a month. Surf Club I play it about maybe once or twice a month. Like I had a gig last Friday, and then same with Rockets. So those I don't really have a residency, but I do those on a regular basis.
How do you prepare for those gigs? I mean, those are long nights. You generally do 3 sets a night, and you have to mix in covers because also because a lot of people are this how do you make yourself stand out instead of just being part of the atmosphere? Because that sucks.
Well, no. I mean, you're right. What I do, I mean, you do got to play some covers. I mean, that's if you're doing like when I go on the road and I do I play like South by Southwest or something. It's all original and things like that. And there's a time and a place, but like when you're doing 3, 4 hour gigs, I just go in. I don't have a set list anymore. I just go in. What I do is I start out with a couple originals, talk about songwriting, my music, and all that. I give away free merch like stickers and all that. But what I'll do is I'll eye the audience and I'll be like, okay, this looks like a '90s crowd, so I'll play some '90s tunes, go in another original. If it looks like an '80s crowd, it looks like these people like the Cars and Rick Springfield, country crowd, classic country crowd. So Texas country, there's a guy named Robert Earl Keen. A lot of people love him, so it's never the same set twice with me. And then another thing I do is a lot of crowd participation. So people
a lot of what?
Crowd participation.
Oh, yeah.
People go nuts. I mean, I've worked it to where it works out like that. I used to be, it's about my song. I'm so magical and mystical, and it's like that stuff's boring. I'm just like I like in the crowd, and the crowd's really cool too with the originals because a lot of the times one of the biggest compliments I guess you can get, they go, "Well, I thought that was a cover."
Right. What we used to say. For a long time, I would just sit there. When artists would come up to me and local bands would go up to me and how they would explain it was this. Because I'd be sitting there like, you want a 45-minute original set. Well, here's the thing. I looked at it as the 45-minute original set satisfied your creativeness. The cover bands, the cover songs, the cover gigs, they're the ones that cover the recording of those original songs.
Exactly.
Because you get paid a lot of money. It's like you book your band for an opening spot or a middle spot or even a headlining spot, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and you might make $100 out of that. It's like maybe a little bit more, depending on your town. But if you go there and you sit there and you play in a college town, you play at a gig like that, the guys get in there, they're drinking, they hear songs they know they can sing with. Next thing you know, that bar is popping, and at the end of the night, the owner of the place comes up there and says, "Here's $500 for your trouble," and it's just.
The thing is, it's a business. It's solely a business, and it's funny because you get people just throwing money and left and right, and you're right. It pays for the recordings. Like, I pretty much I don't do GoFundMe's. I don't do anything like that. By playing live, I'm able to record my songs. And Mason's a reasonable guy with recording, but he's also quality. So it's like it's always it's a business. And I remember one time somebody wanted to book me, and this guy was mad. This guy was really mad. I go, well, look, here's my rates, and he goes, I thought you guys play because you love music. I go, we do, but you gotta love
it. To eat too.
Yeah, the number one is you gotta love it. And then you get some guys who say, well, man, I'm making good money, man. I go, but man, it's just such a drag coming out here. I said, look, man, you gotta love it. I go, if you're gonna make money, if you're gonna play music, you gotta love what you do. If it's a drag, I won't even bother with it. Oh no, I like music, but I have to play this song and this song. I go, no, you don't. I go, just figure out what works, man. I can't. I try to mentor young artists about what to do, but it just takes experience in getting out there.
It was cool because I was mentioning that my friend's band, the Night Cry, they were, they play blues, and they were known for playing a lot of the. They were known to play a lot of the local bars and stuff. They would play all night, and they're a very popular band, very popular local band. Had lines out the door. They were playing, they were just covers. And then when they get an original gig, 45 minutes, at the venue we worked at. Oh my gosh, could you see the difference? Because I went there. I went up there a couple of times to watch them play, and the difference in the energy and attitude was like night and day. They were there for the crowd, and they were doing their shtick, right? And the crowd was all into it, and boy, you could just look in their eyes, and they're sitting there going like, damn well that they're wishing right now they're playing. They would be playing, playing their music, original music in front of a crowd that was paying attention instead of trying to pick up on each other.
Yeah.
And so when they and then when they come over and played for us, boy, it was so, they knew they weren't getting any money. I mean, they got put on with a national but boy, the energy was just so much more alive and electric. Have you played? Have you managed to play with some national acts? I mean, who are some of the bands you played with that we would know
of? Man, let me think.
Not many, huh?
No. I opened. There's a band called the Band of Heathens from Austin, and they kind of got a nice following, but more in the Americana kind of. I opened for them. I've opened for Bob Schneider. Bob Schneider's big in Austin. I've opened for a few bands. I mean, nobody like major, but I've opened for some big regional acts, and
that's fine. Regional acts are just as strong as nationals. I mean, they fill the room up.
Yeah, there's a guy named Robert Earl Keen here from Texas, and he's pretty big as far as he's been doing this a long time, and I actually got to sing Robert Earl Keen songs to Robert Earl Keen. I played with Billy Joe Shaver. He was one of the guys that ran around with Willie and
Yeah, I
Willie,
remember him.
Johnny Cash, and played with a guy named Johnny
Yeah.
Rodriguez. Played with Ian Moore. He was Texas based, and now he's in. I'm going to say it right because my wife. I was calling it. It's called Vashon Island in Washington. He used to live in Austin, and I played a lot of cool places, cool venues, man, with some artists, but and we'll see what happens. I mean, because now that I got this, I have a group of guys that I can call to do a band, but I do a lot of acoustic right now. But I wouldn't mind doing some band shows once I have this new vinyl ready to go. So
Right, of course.
So yeah,
Acoustics. I love acoustic. I love acoustic sets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're such a really, and I love the open mic. The open mic, and God Almighty is tell me. You got to tell me honestly, David. But aren't open mics so much more pressure than any other gig you play? Because most of the time, the people at open mics are your peers. So the only people really watching you, they're not just the fans over there drinking a beer and whatnot. They're your peers. They're watching you, seeing what you're doing. And that's gotta be really, really pressure packed.
Yeah, at this point in my career, I'm cool with it. Back in the day, it was a little tougher, but now I actually went and did a couple of open mics a couple of years ago, and it was cool. I got a positive reaction from it, and I had a lot of young songwriters, come up to me and ask me, "Did you like my song?" I go, "It's 10 minutes long." And you were up there rambling. I go, "I'm being honest with you because somebody told me that." And I said, "But if you cut the fat out, you got a great voice." Like I go, "You got the look to be a musician." I said, "Just work on getting a producer, somebody to help you put it together."
4-minute rule, right? Is that still enough? Is that still in effect?
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you a secret. I'll tell you a secret, and you probably go like, "What?" But this. So ever since I moved here to Michigan from California, I don't really listen I don't listen to any radio at all. I have not listened to a commercial radio station since I got here. I listen to sports radio. A lot of the music, it just seems like music itself. It just. I know we're gonna talk about this too, but it seems like a lot of music. It seems to be shrinking.
Yeah.
Am I mistaken here?
No,
But
you're not. It's I don't see any growth these days.
No,
Because if you think about it from the 40s, the growth to the 50s growth, 60s growth, 70s growth, 80s, 90s, even the early 2000s and 2010s, and then all of a sudden now, it just sounds like a lot of recycled stuff, like kind of like AI.
yes,
Like I was listening to the Billie Eilish song, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was on a on a movie, on a TV show called True Detective, and as I was listening, I was like, I was singing, and I told my wife, I go, "People are strange when you're a stranger." Da, da. It's same melody. I'm like, and it's just, I'm like, come on, man.
I think it's funny. I think probably the most interesting person making music today, and I think only because it's just like it's the only person we hear about today. And that's probably like Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Now I loved her career. I've loved her career from day one. I remember reading about her when she was 15 years old. And
That's some great songs.
Yes, and her parents did it right. I mean, they did it right. And say what you will about Billy Ray Cyrus, he did his damnedest by his daughter. Now his daughter may not recognize that, but he did his very level-headed best to keep her protected and sheltered, because nothing creators a career faster, as we talked about earlier, than going off track, and
Yeah.
getting into trouble. I mean, she skirted around a little bit. Miley did, um, and then but Taylor's parents, they kept her really grounded. I mean, what would you tell a young musician today? I mean, they're asking you about the song selection, and what outside the songwriting process itself, what advice would you give a musician or a young band if they came up to you and said, "Hey, we want to tour, we want to go on a tour." What are three things you would tell them to do or prepare themselves before they went on tour?
Um, Number one, make sure you have you know make sure it's always food, shelter, and travel. That those are the things. Make sure you're gonna be make sure you're gonna be able to have a little money saved, and have it. I go, you're not gonna make any money, but
Right.
I say, make sure you have a little bit of money saved so that way you can eat. You might have to eat, you might have to eat a convenience store food, but another thing is make sure you have a reliable, your transportation is reliable, and
Right.
and and number three, when you go, meet people, get in contact, make contacts, write down their names, write down and see. Because I go, when I went on the road, it wasn't just the venues we played. It was like, oh, we know this person over here, we know this person over here. They'll let you play. And I went on an East Coast tour in 2013, and I played. I actually went to go visit Cindy. I played out there. I played, and then I ended up playing in Eddie's attic in Decatur next to Atlanta, and then I went to I went. She goes, well, there's a place in North Carolina. I went and did an open mic out there. Next thing you know, I'm doing shows in this place called Mooresville, and so meet people. I think make sure you have your facilities, everything together. Make sure you have your music, and the most important thing is meet people so that way you can get a gig. And I mean, I could probably put something together right now, and I really have to talk to my wife about it. But I could probably put something together right now and say I'm going on the road. But
And she's agreeing with you 100%.
yeah,
My thing is too, this to me when I see local bands or independent bands when they tour, one of the best things that they would do when they get out of the car, because afterwards it always happened. It was always like, do you have any music? And I just felt like, that goes back to the CD question again. You're making your vinyl record. I just having a hard time think about, here you are out there and you kick ass, right? You have a
mhm,
great show. At the end of the show, people walk up to you and they say, "Hey, I want to buy a record. I want to buy a CD." And then the band says, "Well, we don't have any. We don't carry that. You can get the song on Spotify." Well, to me, that's opportunity lost, because
yeah,
they're sure as hell are not going to be sitting there tomorrow morning hitting that Spotify. I mean,
yeah,
a few might do that, but overall, most of the people, they want something right then and there in their hands. They want to be able to talk
yeah.
about it, show their friends, and everything else. Um,
Yeah, yeah. One thing you can do is something like this. If you I have product, I have CDs and all that, but I say make something with a QR code on it and give it to people, and they'll QR code it, or make something where they can go. You can make one for Spotify, or you can make one for, or you can make a uniform one. There's all kinds of things, but the main thing is that QR code right there. That's one way about going about it if you're not going to have any product, but I was just making some CDs. There was a place in Austin where there's a place in Austin where if I need some CDs, they'll burn me about 50, and I like to have something like that too on the road as well. So
yeah.
I make
Uh, we're saying all the right things, because the public relation guru is actually agreeing with us. We we're doing good, David. We're doing really good. I mean, she's not sitting over there going like, no, no, don't do that. Okay, I'm glad we still remember these things.
Yeah.
It's important. And I'm thinking about you playing the East Coast and playing all these places. I'm just thinking to myself, going like, I wonder how long it'll be before Cindy puts you inside the Bluebird. That seems to be like probably the premier, the premier open mic on the East Coast would be the Bluebird Cafe, and I do believe it's in
Yeah.
Kentucky, Kentucky or Tennessee.
The Tennessee,
Uh,
Nashville.
Nashville. Okay. Um,
I just recorded there. I've never played there.
oh, okay, okay. Um, so we got the new record. You got the new record. Okay, we're gonna call it a record. So you got the new record out, and what do you think? What do you think of the state of live music now, as far as the independents go? Yes, you're playing in front and playing small venues, the small bars and what have you. But as far as like the concerts go, like, do you think concert going in America is like, we're talking about shrinking? It seems to me, especially this year, because most of the time you always hear about all these new shows coming up, but this time you don't really. I haven't felt really much energy from a tour
Mhm.
in a long time. Most of the time, it seems like American concerts are going the way of the festival, like they do in Europe. They'll come out on a Saturday, they'll have like 12 bands playing, and maybe over the weekend, like Coachella, maybe like that. Like
Yeah.
they're and there's no longer like, hey, such and such is playing on a Tuesday night. Let's go on out and watch them play. I really don't sense that anymore. People really wanting to do that.
Yeah.
I sense it now that they're going into these big festivals like this. Are you
Mhm.
seeing that in Texas? Is that something that Texas
Well,
is
no.
doing?
Well, here in Corpus Christi, we got an arena, and we got a smaller concert hall. Like this year, last year we went to see a band from Boston called Lake Street Dive, and they are an amazing band. And they played with a band called The Dip from Seattle, Washington, and they're kind of like they're kind of like old school, kind of like that R&B kind of like, and kind of like they have horns and all that, and it was cool. And we went to see that, and because I used to go to Austin City Limit Festival all the time. I ain't doing that anymore. That's a marathon day. I like, but we do the Austin City Limits. That happens every year here in Texas. And there's I know there's Bonnaroo and all that, but I mean we're gonna go see the Black Crowes in Houston, and then Jack Johnson, and then we're gonna go see Guns N' Roses in San Antonio in September.
Oh,
So I still see a lot of people going to shows, but it's more for the classic outfits. But there's some newer
yeah.
outfits that are out there. There's also a place here in town called the House of Rock. It's owned by this guy named Casey Lane, who's awesome. He brings in bands, and a lot of people don't even realize it might be a $15-$20 cover to get into some of these, but you're going to see a great night of music with like 3 or 4 bands. And it's like, but most people would rather go spend $500 to go watch this band instead of, probably $100, less than $100 to go watch a show at his venue. But he does sell out his venue too. So it's cool. And it's like, so it just varies, but I do see a lot of the festival stuff happen. And I see a lot of like a lot of the like a lot of the DJing stuff and all that, which is cool. I never would go to that, but I like seeing a guitar and a bass and a singer and a drums, and I like the realness of everything.
I get a little concerned for that, as far as the live music goes. Especially, you mentioned you're going to go see Guns N' Roses, and like the last 2 or 3 years, it's been very painful to watch, like David Lee Roth
Yeah,
or Slash, or not Slash, but
excellent.
Axl Rose. I mean, they come out there, and Vince Neil. I mean, it's really just, it's pathetic. I hate to say it like that, but they don't have any other skills anymore. They can't hit the notes. They
Yeah,
can't even remember the lyrics, and I don't know. To me, it's like you have all these fans out there hoping to catch magic in a bottle, like they're going to come out there and be like they were like 30 years ago. And it's just not happening. They just don't have the range. They have the spirit. I'll never say they don't have the spirit, but they just don't have the gift anymore. They don't have
Yeah.
that range.
Cool.
Where they got older, all those years of abuse. I mean, it's just out of shape.
Mhm.
But to me, what really stings is the fact that people will go there, spend that kind of money, see that show, come back and bitch about it. I just spent $500 watching Vince Neil, and I couldn't tell you a word he said. And then when you turn around and you have a showcase like you mentioned, about $20 to see 3 or 4 local bands or what have you, these same people that spent $500 will sit there and say, I can't go to that. I don't know who they are.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, wow, this is a chance for you to go see the new faces.
Yeah.
This is what a golden opportunity here.
And there's some
And I don't know how to change the mind. I mean, I don't know how do you change the mind of an average, especially down in a hotbed like Texas. You would think the last thing they would do is to be suckers for a nostalgic act, because
Yeah.
Texas has always been on the cutting edge of music. Like, man, if you want to make it, you want to cut your, you want to hone your skills, go to Texas. They have so many different places to play.
Mm.
You could tour the state for a month
Yeah.
and not play the same place twice. I just feel like it's just a real shame that we don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
South by Southwest is, it used to be just a hotbed of indies. Now Billie Eilish. I'm sorry, but you know what? Billie Eilish has no business being at South by Southwest.
Yeah. No, I
No,
agree.
no, nobody with a record deal has room to be there at South by Southwest. That was there for bands to get a record deal,
Mhm.
not to sit there and take somebody's stage away. I mean, that's how I feel.
No, I agree with you. It's a doozy. It's a doozy, and and we're going to see Guns N' Roses, but I'm just taking my wife. I've seen them. I saw them back in '91 with Soundgarden opening. So
Right, right. Yeah, we did. I did Slash a Snake Pit. Was him, a bunch of slingers came in there, and yeah, Slash is a hell of a guy.
yeah,
That's for sure. He's a great guy. I really enjoyed. I mean, we had him in our room, man. It was a great show. Great show.
yeah, yeah.
And he's still out there doing it too.
Oh yeah, and he sounds great. He sounds great. Uh,
Uh, yeah, I'm tracking my time here. I think we have time to hear one more song for you, and
okay.
then we're gonna yeah, let's hear another one of your songs, and then we're gonna see where you're going and what you're doing, and then we'll let you get out of here.
All right,
This has been
cool.
a great show, by the way, David. I can't thank you
Yes.
enough. I can't thank Cindy enough for hooking
About
this
that.
up.
I think we need like 4 or 5 hours to talk because I think we both got some more stories. I know you probably have more than me, but I mean, it was always said to me, it's like you get on the road, you go cut your teeth.
You do what?
When you go cut your teeth, when you start talking about things you can't make up,
Right.
yeah, it's
Oh,
just
right.
like when we're talking
Oh my
about.
gosh. There's sometimes when I get a band on here, a singer get on here, and I keep thinking to myself, going like, oh my God, I wish my friend Jimmy was here, because Jimmy has freaking, I mean, talk about 5 hours. That would be me. Jimmy could talk for a damn month.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like when my friends are filmmakers. They were filmmakers back in the day, and they went to the Quentin Tarantino festival, and I go, how was it, dude? It was cool the first hour or 2 hours. We talked to Quentin Tarantino for like 6, 7, 8 hours, and he was just talking about the cinematography. Once you get him going, it was like, oh wow. I go, well, you got to meet him. Yeah, I got to meet him. We got to meet with him, but we wanted to go do something, and we wanted to go home. But
Right, right.
you get somebody passionate like that. I mean, hey. So yeah. Anyway, this song. So I wrote this song probably. I guess I wrote this song almost 20 years ago, and I hadn't really done anything with it, but I was totally. I'm a big Lenny Kravitz fan. So that
Yeah.
it's a song called "Standing." Like it was originally, I'm still standing. It was like it's about being in a relationship, and you take the best of me, but. But anyway, so I just kind of like I channeled Lenny on this one, and I I wrote the song when I finished writing the song. With my friend Rick Hofill, and took it to Mason and sent him about 7 or 8 Lenny Kravitz songs. He goes, "Man, I got an idea." He goes, "We got some ideas here." So this song called "Standing." Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Here we go. Say you got the best of me, but you'll have to try harder. Beat me up, put me down, knock me all around. I'm still standing. Taking cheap shots at me won't get you any farther. Not jumping in the ring, you can count me out. I'm still standing. Try to take the best of me, keep coming back for more, but I won't give up. Fighting's in my blood, believe it's on my mind. I'm still standing. Am I wasting my time? Pretend to be love's refugee, act like it's some kind of martyr. In your book of life, when the last chapter ends, I'll be standing. Your friends give me the third degree. I've gotten older and smarter. In their eyes, I'll never be right. Nothing to defend. I'm still standing. Try taking the best of me. Keep coming back for more, but I won't give up. Fight is in my blood. Believe it's on my mind. I'm still standing. Am I wasting my time? Feel like a butterfly, sting like a bee. This can't be right. You refuse to believe I'm not on my knees. Try taking the best of me, keep coming back for more, but I won't give up. Fight is in my blood, believe it's on my mind. I'm still standing. You're done taking the best of me, not taking anymore. Finally had enough. Fight is in my blood, believe it's on my mind. I'm still standing. Done wasting my time. Better luck next time. Better luck next time, baby.
Yeah. Nice. I just told Cindy he can't go wrong being inspired by Lenny Kravitz. I mean, he's one of the best out there, and that's I think he'd be very flattered. Um, have you ever said?
He's one of the ones still doing it well, though.
Yes. Have you ever done that yet? I mean, have you ever done that, or which I totally am 100%. I agree with it, but of course, we talked about this earlier in the interview. The right time anyway. But have you ever had an opportunity to give your music to a national artist?
Well,
They can come out there and give them a seat.
I've talked to a couple of people about it, but I really haven't. But that's one of my next goals is to like try to say, I had told one guy who's his name's William Clark Green, and we met a long time ago. Real nice guy. He plays on the Texas Country Circuit. I had told him I had a song for him, but we never got around to it. But I still have that song, William, if you're listening. So, but but I've been thinking about that a lot because I think one of the things I was told is the biggest favors you can have one of the top artists cover your songs.
I had we had Nine Inch Nails play, and I got to book a local band in front of him, and so he's a good guy, great guy, and we got to go back to meet Trent. So I walked my buddy back to stage, and my friend was just, he's just like, holy shit, he's awestruck, and I told him this, man, bring your EP with you. So he comes back there and he meets Trent, and Trent Reznor is as quiet as, I mean, you just would not know the guy from his persona on stage.
Yeah.
Off stage, he is so quiet and so gentle and really easy to talk to. And he came up there, my friend, I mean, he was like, like I can't, he's playing in front of him, and now he's giving his EP, and he gave him his EP, and of course you immediately think that he is he really going to listen to this? It's the first thing you have to think about, right? But it's funny. It's like what it was after the show was over with. His road manager came down there and says, "Hey man, I saw your friend gave Trent his EP, his record." He says, "Yeah." I says, tell your friend that Trent will be listening to the record. We listen to a lot of local bands when we're on this bus. We're tired of commercial radio. We don't listen to commercial radio. We listen to the bands like this." And I got to go back there and tell him that to going like, man, dude, they're going to be playing your EP on the bus. You made the rotation. That's so cool. It's one of the coolest things that I could think could happen to an indie artist, is to be able to not only get to talk to the person, but to share music as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's the crux of it. I've given my CDs to certain artists that are on tour that I've played with, it was kind of funny because I had a song called "Hey Mary," and I did that one in Nashville. That was really popular. It was funny playing South by Southwest because all the bands were singing the song, and they go, "You gonna play that tonight?" I go, "Of course." I go, "Why would?"
Let's see. Cindy's mentioning we did send an album a few years ago to my friends Blues Traveler. I remember those guys, Blues Travelers. They tore it up.
Oh yeah.
I believe John Popper was the lead singer. So we also did a big show during the pandemic called the Isolated Session Series, and David was heard by a lot of big players and producers who played our series. Yeah. That's awesome. And at the end of the night, you give them a record. A lot of times, shit, man. A lot of times, that's what would happen. They would actually, I don't know if they exchange CDs most of the time, because most they didn't carry a lot of national bands. They don't carry their own music.
Yeah,
they don't carry. They're not allowed to.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
I saw Blues Traveler at the Horde Festival in Austin in 1996 with Rusted Root, Lenny Kravitz. They played, and then Dave Matthews played.
Oh my gosh, man! There was a lot of fun to be had during that. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, we were up front for the whole thing, except once Dave Matthews played, we were just exhausted. We went and sat in the back and just watched Dave from the back.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I know he's still playing. I think he still plays out. Man, yeah.
He tours every summer.
Jam music, they call it, and that's a guy who believes in giving a fans their money's worth. He goes out there and he'll play for 3 or 4 hours. I mean, that's maybe 3 hours. You get your money's worth when you go see Dave Matthews Band. My wife loved Dave Matthews.
Yeah, I've seen him about 10 times. I haven't gone in a long time, but another band that people would go see all the time was the Grateful Dead. I mean, I'm sure you're familiar with California.
Yep. One of my mentors. He used to go every summer. He used to go out on the road with me. He make patchouli oil, and he would go out there and on tour with them. One of the vendors. He used to disappear for the whole summer. It's like September come around and there's Paul right back there. He says, "Man, you've been gone the entire summer." I says, "Yep, I'm back." And I'm going like, "Well, thank God for that." It was jam bands for me. I'm okay with them. I mean,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
yeah,
definitely go see Dave Matthews and
yeah.
Blues Travelers. I definitely would. I
But
definitely like to see them.
I like hearing songs. That's one of my biggest things. I like to hear songs.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes when a band will go out there and play like that, it's sort of self-indulgent. It's like they're so out there with their friends and on the stage, they tend to forget the audience and they'll just get out there and just lose themselves. It's like, there's some of us out here that like to hear you sing some songs, but at the same time, a lot of people want to hear them jam, for 20 minutes. But I'm not one of those myself.
Yeah, yeah,
I gotta hear songs. I'm, I gotta be more structured.
yeah.
Hey, John. Good friend John is here from Doomsday Crypt. Great to see you, John, for sure. Um, so what's next for you?
Um,
What are you doing for the next 2 or 3 months? What are your plans?
I got a bunch of shows lined up. I'm trying to get something going. We are going to Arizona in this is in November for a wedding, so I'm gonna try to play a gig out there. We'll see how that goes because I played out there before, but I'm gonna be doing a lot of local shows here, and I'm also gonna go in the studio in July and record a new song. Um, so it's just I'll be keeping myself busy and be writing some new songs to working on some new songs. Writing them for getting them ready for the studio because I plan on doing a few more and then getting with Cindy and deciding what we're going to do as far as a release. But I got my book's pretty booked up, so I told some of the talent buyers, I go, this is all that's open. I go, well, this is all I got. So, oh, I thought you had more. And I was like, no, man, it's filling up.
Right, right. No, get them when you can. Get them when you can. All right, boys and girls, we have hit our mark. I want to thank everybody who came out in the chat and hang out with us. To the people who will be listening on the replay, thank you again for coming in and saying hello as well. Please hit the sub button if you haven't subbed already to the channel. Hit the like button. That helps out the channel more than you know. Drop a comment down below. I want to thank you, David, for coming out and hanging out with us. And I hope you had a great time. I had a great time talking to you. I want to do it again.
Fun.
I'd love to do it again.
Yeah.
When your new record comes out, when after the vinyl comes out, definitely have you come back after
Yeah.
the vinyl's out, and you come
Yeah.
back. We'll talk about that.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Uh, all right, boys and girls. Tomorrow, I'll see you. Next week, on the 21st, we have indie filmmaker Matthew Mark Hunter will be with us. He's a micro budget filmmaker, and we'll be talking about his films. He's only been in the business for 8 years. He's got over 200 movies of all sorts and kinds and shapes and colors already done. And then on Thursday, a week from today, we have the lovely Mia Katz will be here, and I can't wait for Mia to come back and visit us. She is a true powerhouse, and so come back here for that. And then, that's it for us. Thank you again, Cindy, for helping me put this together. David, stay right where you're at for a minute.
Okay.
And to the chat, we're going to say goodnight to you here. And we will see you next week and talk to you guys soon. Peace.